said Ford, who was sitting on the spiral staircase, a nicely chilled pan-galactic gargle blaster in his hand. Exactly where we were, I think, said Trillian, as all about them the mirrors suddenly showed them an image of the blighted landscape of Magrathea, which still scooted along beneath them. Zaphod leaped out of his seat. Then what's happened to the missiles?
Leapt out of his seat.
A new and astounding image appeared in the mirrors. They would appear, said Ford doubtfully, to have turned into a bowl of petunias and a very surprised-looking whale. At an improbability factor, cut in Eddie, who hadn't changed a bit, of 8,767,128 to 1 against. Zaphod stared at Arthur. Did you think of that, Earthman? He demanded. Well, said Arthur, all I did was... That's very good thinking, you know. Turn on the improbability drive for a second without first activating the proofing screens. Hey, kid, you just saved our lives, you know that? Oh, said Arthur. Well, it was nothing, really. Was it? Said Zaphod. Oh, well, forget it then. Okay, computer, take us in to land. But I said, forget it. Another thing that got forgotten was the fact that against all probability, a sperm whale had suddenly been called into existence several miles above the surface of an alien planet. And since this is not a naturally tenable position for a whale, this poor, innocent creature had very little time to come to terms with its identity as a whale, before then had to come to terms with not being...
I'm sorry, say that again?
Okay, never mind. What's that memorial back there?
Oh, you know, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. What that is actually a grave. Somebody's buried there and has been for about 170 years. Maybe I think 179 at this point. But that's the grave of Charles Wilbur. And then that other area that we looked out on was the pond named after him called Wilbur's Pond. And I guess what it was is when the water reservoir was built out there and named after Mr. Wilbur, he was so ingratiated by the thought that he just asked to be buried by it. And back in the 1800s, I guess that was granted.
expression of deep worry and concern failed to cross either of Zaphod's faces. Nuts to your white mice, he said. Trillian glared and Arthur glared at him and disappeared.
This is 3 times I've dropped the camera now. If anybody's watching this in audio, haha.
Had it been generally realized that human beings were only the third most intelligent life form present on the planet Earth, instead of, as was generally thought by most independent observers, the second. Good afternoon, boys. The voice was oddly familiar, but oddly different. It had a matriarchal twang. It announced itself to the crew as they arrived at the airlock hatchway that would let them out on the planet's surface. They looked at each other in puzzlement. It's the computer, explained Zaphod. I discovered it had an emergency backup personality that I thought might work out better. Now, this is going to be your first day out on a strange new planet, continued Eddie's new voice. So I want you all wrapped up. I want you all wrapped up snug and warm, and no playing with any naughty bug-eyed monsters. Zaphod tapped impatiently on the hatch. I'm sorry, he said. I think we might be better off with a slide. Right, snapped the computer. Who said that? Will you open up the exit hatch, please, computer? Said Zaphod, trying not to get angry. Not until whoever said that owns up, urged the computer, stamping a few silences pleasant. Oh, God, muttered Ford, slumped against a bulkhead. He started to count to 10. He was desperately worried that one day sentient life forms would forget how to do this. Only by counting could humans demonstrate their independence of computers. Come on, said Eddie sternly.